Hey, Chicago, what do you say? It's a CHGO Cubs postgame show presented by PointsBet. Use the promo code CHGO when you sign up to get 2 risk-free bets up to $2,000. Luke Stuckmeyer, Cody Delmendo coming from what is technically now Studio L because we lost our bet with the Southside podcast. They let us stay here, but this was supposed to be the other one.
You're helping out the producers.
We're just helping out the producers. This was Cubs split with the White Sox, a 5-4 loss in extra innings. This was the worst. and I'm not saying that because the Sox beat the Cubs. I'm saying that because, first of all, this game was on pace for 2.5 hours, and then it became the bad news bears on both sides of town. Ball was thrown all over the place. Runs were being scored on complete garbage. And it went on forever.
Yeah. I don't even know where to start with.
It was a bad game.
It was not great. The Cubs played well for 7 innings, and then it was just like they just didn't want to win the game. Like, I don't know, I can't even put words in my mouth.
They had so many opportunities. The Cubs had so many opportunities to put them away and just sweep this series and have something positive for their fans.
Let's just go over the vibe throughout the game, right? You're going into a game against a guy you traded that in hindsight looks bad. We're not going to talk about it, but in hindsight it does look bad. Everyone knows it. It is what it is. And he pitches well, but the White Sox defense allowed you to score a run, and you get a great start out of Marcus Stroman today. You get the 1 run. You are winning 1-0. You are on the south side of town. You are 6 outs away from sweeping a 2-game series after you got swept in a 2-game series at your own ballpark. And in the 8th inning, Schwindel hits the double. I think it was Frazier they brought in for him.
Yep, gets the third.
Gets the third on a wild pitch.
Nobody out.
Wisdom, Ortega, strikeout. And then Horner on the first pitch grounds out. But I can't even be mad at Horner because all Wisdom or Ortega had to do was hit the ball.
Put it in play.
Hit it somewhere.
Anywhere
Just
in play.
hit it somewhere. And like we talked about it in previous shows, Luke. They're not striking out as much this year, but by golly, they will strike out in the big moments. And you just knew it. You knew it. You knew it when they didn't score there. The gods were not going to forget. It has happened time and time again over my 31 years of existence on this planet and 50 years of Luke's. Sorry.
Thanks.
The fact that you can't get that run in, that important insurance run, is a killer. And it's just so frustrating. I don't care if the Cubs are now, if they would have won, they would have been 20-26, whatever. I don't care. That is a game that you could have won. That is a game that you build some sort of momentum going into the doubleheader tomorrow. Who knows what can happen over the next couple weeks? It's already bad enough that the schedule the next 11 days is not easy. If you could have started it off by taking 2 on the south side, that's a great start. And instead, you just find every reason to lose the game. I feel like I'm yelling again back whenever the Sox were at Wrigley. Everyone was making fun of me for being salty. There's no expectations for this team, whatever. But it's the same thing. The Cubs should have won this game. The Cubs should have won the 2 games at Wrigley. 3 out of the 4 games, the Cubs should have won in this series. And I'm dead serious. I don't care if you look at their roster. And
that's true.
It is dead serious. I'm dead serious that the Cubs should have won 3 of these 4 games. And I wouldn't say that they were going to be blowouts or anything, but they played well enough to win, but they just didn't do the little things at the end of the game to win it. The wild pitch that, or I would call it a pass ball, but they call it a wild pitch that Robertson threw in the 9th inning that allowed them to tie it. That doesn't even matter if they get the insurance run in.
Right.
And that's what's frustrating.
They had other opportunities. I mean, the frustrating part for Cubs fans watching this is, do you realize how bad the White Sox are playing?
Right.
This got them back to the 500 mark. Did you watch what the White Sox were doing out there? Like, I'm not even hearing celebration on the other side of the wall, and Paul is asking, why are we in the W studio and they're in the losing studio? Because they feel like it's a loss over there. Like, they can't even hardly celebrate winning that game because that was so ugly on both sides. Like, Jake Berger ends up being the hero. He's the guy. He's the whole reason they were behind in the first place. Like, the dribbler to third. He boots the play at third. Then he should have gone back to third on a bunt, and they cost him a run that way. Then the runner got to second. Should have never been at second. He really cost them almost 3 runs in this game.
Yeah.
With his defense.
He did. Yeah. And I did not, as soon as the Cubs didn't score in the top of the 12th, in my heart, I knew it was over because of this extra inning runner on second rule.
Right.
And I'm not going to sit here and complain about that rule because the Cubs don't like the Cubs. Who knows if they even score in this game could still be going if they don't allow the runner on second rule. The way that these offenses were playing today,
both teams tried to give it away.
Right.
Then there was the play. He was ruled inside the baseline, which we thought the game had ended there. And frankly, I was willing to move on at that point. But then they dragged us back in for a few more minutes.
Yeah.
Let traffic pick up on a holiday weekend.
Yeah.
You know, that's my beef.
Did they get the two, those, what was it, the 10th inning? They get the 2 runs?
Yes, I believe so. Is that right? 10th inning? Yeah.
And then give it back. And I understand, like, it's easier to score in the extra innings with the rule that is in place, but, man, and Efros, like, and he's been so great. Like, someone already tweeted, like, the Cubs bullpen has been atrocious. It's like, no, it hasn't.
Yeah, I can't blame the bullpen for this loss. I can't blame them for it.
Yeah.
I know there was a wild pitch, but, like, come on. Runner,
and I'm not going to blame Gesellman. It's not like the Cubs use him in these high leverage spots. They use Gesellman because they got a doubleheader tomorrow, and they got to save some of their other arms that they use in high leverage spots.
Runner at third, nobody out. You didn't score a run.
Yep.
Game over. You gave it to him.
Basically.
You gave it to him multiple times. You gave him the game.
Yeah. It's just like even after they get out of that 9th inning, and then the White Sox, Lopez airmailing that ball to allow the Cubs to take the lead again. It's just like even the White Sox tried to give them the game, and the Cubs were like, "Nah, we're good. Hold our beer while we give it back." Like this.
And then at 4-4, they had another chance to score. Couldn't score again. So there's another place where you gave them the game.
Right.
So
just so frustrating the way they lost today because they really did play for the pitcher that they had to go up against. They really did play a really good game for 7 innings.
Well, in our pregame Crosstown show, both Herb and Sean predicted 1-0 Cubs. Yeah. And it really did look like it was going to be 1-0 Cubs.
Yep.
Then all of this trash happened after that. Like, up till about the 7th inning, I felt like it was a well-played game. It was a well-pitched game, I should say. Because, again, the Cubs' 1 run was a little dirty, too. Mm-hmm. But after that, it was just it was like watching high school teams kick a ball around a field. And that's probably an insult to some pretty good high school teams. It was not pretty baseball.
Yeah.
It was. I see the chat going back and forth, and it's the typical crosstown stuff. Hope you like that, and we'll go win a playoff series. It's the normal chat back and forth. Frankly, after this one, neither fan base should be too excited.
Yeah.
Not too excited. The Sox are back to the 500 mark, and frankly, the win or loss for them is totally insignificant because if they would have gone 2 games under 500, so what? It looks like Tim Anderson's out for a stretch.
Yeah.
And that was, I don't care if you're a Cubs fan or a Sox fan, that was a brutal injury. He's a great player and a fun player to watch. And so that injury was a bummer in the afternoon too.
Right.
I don't like seeing anybody hurt. Maybe some Cardinals, but
Yachty.
Yeah, no, I'm kidding.
Just kidding.
Like I don't like to see players get, or especially good players. I don't like to see them get hurt.
Yeah, no.
And that was that wasn't even on like some exciting play or anything. It was just like a ball in the hole, and he goes back to make it, and clearly it looks like he tore his groin muscle.
Yeah. I mean,
that sucks for them, and it sucks for baseball. I think that's the big thing for me is as the Cubs fan here who doesn't watch Tim Anderson every day, but Tim Anderson's a great player and a big someone the baseball should be building around in terms of growing the game, which they do a little bit. But it's real tough with everything that the Sox gave the Cubs today, and the Cubs still fall apart and can't win it. And we can sit here and talk about how coming in this year the Cubs weren't going to do anything. We can talk all about it. We can blame whoever. It genuinely doesn't really matter. You also got to remember that Seiya didn't play in this game. If you like, they have full.
Luis Robert didn't play over there, and Moncada had
injuries. Yeah, they have all these injuries. The Cubs have injuries too, a lot of injuries. Are they at the level of the White Sox? I don't think so, but they do have injuries, and I'm not. That's no excuse to why they lost this game, but the Cubs would be a much better baseball team if they were a little bit more healthy, and that to me is why I am angry still. And again, we've sat here and we're like, we're not going to tell you how to Cub. You don't want to care that we lost this game or not. That's fine.
Do it your way.
I am pissed off because I just feel like that if you have a chance to win the game, win the damn game.
Well, I see David Ross just said it was a great game and that he liked the way both sides fought to the finish. I just can't agree with it. Maybe he's just saying something to give the media a soundbite, but I can't agree that it was a great game. Right. Even if the Cubs had won that, gotten a run there and won 5-4, that it would not have been a great game.
Yeah.
It was a pretty good game up until the seventh inning.
Until
about the eighth inning when they started.
You got a really great start out of Marcus Stroman.
Let's look at the couple positives. Stroman was clearly a positive.
Right.
That's the best we've seen him.
And the last inning, it was bases loaded, 1 out.
Yes.
He got the strikeout on 3 pitches of McGuire, I want to say it was. And then who was it? Was it Harrison? I think Harrison hit the line out.
I don't know. Herb was yelling at Harrison so many times.
Someone hit a line out, and they got out of it.
He got out of it.
And that was one of those Cubs defensive alignment was great there, right? Because he did hit it hard, and that's probably a base hit more often than not. But hit right at Simmons, and they got out of it. If you listen to pregame, I sat here and was I was already kind of accepting the loss. I just felt like Cease was going to come out here, have the Cease revenge game, and, we'll be happy if we're in this game. The Cubs led more in this game than the Sox did, and it's just
3 chances to close out the game.
3 chances.
3 chances to win the game.
The Sox didn't lead until the game ended. It's just frustrating. Yeah, their defense, yeah. Yeah.
What gave the Cubs a chance through 9 innings. They got a lot more question marks. So if you want to spin zone it, you want to feel a little bit better, at least comparing both sides in windows right now. At least be lucky you're not contending for a World Series and playing like that.
Right.
Now, before we get to the other positive, we do want to point out that the real blame for the loss, if that's what you're upset about, is Kevin.
Oh, yeah. We haven't even got to that.
Kevin, you should put yourself on camera for this and own up to this. When you make a mistake, you make a mistake. There he is. That's the guy you want to blame, Cubs fans. He built a graphic saying that the Cubs sweep behind Stroman. He had it all built up and ready to go for social media.
Yep.
And as soon as he put it out on our Slack channel, which I now have 2 of those,
Yep.
Cody said, if they lose this, I'm never going to forgive you. And sure enough, it all unraveled right from there.
It
all unraveled.
It really was downhill from there. I was over dramatic on I will never forgive you, but
At least
I will
a year.
say for moving on, if you're going to make the graphic, do not throw it in Slack so I don't see it at least. That's all I'm asking. You make it you want to make them early, you just put it in your folder, whatever you got to do. Just do not put it in the Slack channel for me to see and download and put up as soon as yeah. But I appreciate you. Trying to be ahead of the game.
Yeah, right.
I really do. I do appreciate that. I'll give you that.
No, don't give me any. I don't deserve any forgiveness here. It is my fault. I
Yeah.
did the early Selly gods,
Yeah.
And they got him. They got him real good. I even tried to make up for it by setting a White Sox lose graph.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Counteract it. It had already happened.
Right.
Jman0729 says, this game makes me hate the extra innings rule. How do you feel about the extra innings rule?
Well, I think I was sitting over there and I was talking about, I was like, all this does is like, they talk about making extra innings more exciting. I mean, honestly, all it really does is just give me more stress and anxiety. Like,
but that's what they want. I get it.
And I get, like, that's baseball, right? Like,
I just
stress
don't
and
know.
anxiety.
I just don't know that it actually leads to a faster ending game. Because a runner at second, most teams should score. That said, most teams should score with a runner at third and nobody out.
Yeah.
And then the game would have been over. But
Yeah.
I don't know that it makes the game faster. I think it leads to a lot of these where it goes back and forth. It is exciting if you have a good game going. I'm starting to push towards something bizarre, though, like we were tossing around as we were watching the game. Something as ridiculous as the shootout. I don't care what it is. A home run derby. Honestly, I don't care if there's ties in baseball.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like I just
wouldn't
don't
mind
want to
that.
see. I don't want to spend 5 hours watching a baseball game.
Yeah.
4.5
Or,
hours. It's too
I think
long.
you said it. They could do the runner on second in like the 10th inning, and if they don't get it, call it a tie or something like that. I think you said something like that when we were sitting over there.
Yeah, each team gets a shot in the 10th with a runner at second. If they tie it again, it's a tie. Phil says it right there. American sports should embrace the tie. Well, we get it in the NFL every once in a while.
Yeah. And, I mean, no one likes it, but
No, but there's so many baseball games
there's so many games, yeah.
that it's like, okay, so what if
The
there's a few
NFL,
like-
there's what, 17 games, 18 games, whatever it is, and, you play once a week.
That's why I say I don't. If you don't like the tie, I don't care. That's all right. I'm not even totally into the tie.
Right.
That's why I'm okay with something as stupid as, like you said, bring in the bullpen coach. Whoever you want to hit can hit, and it's home run derby. Whoever hits the most homers off their own bullpen coach.
Yeah.
Whatever.
I don't know. I do think that it creates more excitement. Like those, as bad as it was, it was exciting to watch in a way. And in terms of like you saw base runners, the ball was put in play, and we were reacting and stuff. Like you've seen extra inning games where there's just absolutely nothing happening because they're just mowing them down every inning for 14, 15 games in the past. So like I don't know, like it's a little give or take there. Again, the last 3 innings or whatever were awful in terms of defense and
They weren't
and
even
base running.
to me.
and
They
stuff
weren't
like
even
that, but-
exciting. They were ugly.
Yeah, I
They
mean,
were just
this was
ugly.
just this game, but like I feel like in general in all of baseball though, like I
Yeah.
feel like there would be more excitement between two teams that are really really good, and they get that runner on second base. So, and I've said this before as well. When the Cubs win because of the runner on second base rule in extra innings, I don't mind it. If they lose, I hate it. It's like the shift.
Yeah.
Like we get the game over with and the Cubs win. I'm happy. We lose because, we didn't score in the top of the 12th, and yeah, like it sucks. I'm definitely more mad about the 8th inning than anything else.
Well, this is like they played this extra inning game, and now they have 2 tomorrow. The Cubs.
Yeah.
Who are they even going to pitch? What bullpen guys are even left tomorrow if your starters don't go significant innings? Matt Clapp on Twitter has a good point, too. He says, need to get Clint Frazier a ton of at-bats the rest of the way, even if he hits $150, and I agree with that. Like, guys under 30, like Frazier, I want to see playing more than Ortega.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
And that's not, I know the dream is to get back to 500. Guys, it's a dream. I don't think it's happening. So
I'm with
if
you.
you're
Like,
gonna
I
do
don't
it, I
think
want
it
to
is
see
either.
you do it with Frazier getting some at-bats. Guys,
I said if they were going to win this game, I'd talk myself into thinking they can get back to 500, but we saw what we saw. So
I tell you what, speaking of guys under 500, to try and little spin zone, as Cody says, Morel, again, reaches base safely. Every game he's played in.
yeah,
Another big hit, an energy hit, a nice play at the wall.
oh yeah, the catch. Yeah, I mean, he's out there playing like, hey, I'm trying to help this team win games, and like, I can appreciate that, and obviously fans appreciate that. He's been very based off social media. A lot of people are falling for this guy already. I'm trying to keep myself from going well over the line, but he keeps making it hard to not do it because, today it's I'm going to go make I don't want to say it was an insane grab in center field, but it was a
nice catch.
It was a great catch, and if he doesn't catch that, the Sox are in position to either score on that play or in the next at bat with probably two guys in scoring position. So that was a big play that he made, and then at the time when he got that hit to get that, they finally got the insurance run when they went up 3-1. You felt okay, the Cubs should take care of this, and they just weren't able to do it. But he was the one who helped get them there. So he's making big plays and big moments. He's not afraid of the big moments. You know what I mean? And that's what you love to see. And I do think we did see probably his worst at bat as a major leaguer when he struck out when he struck out on 3 pitches against, I want to say it was Graveman or Hendricks. I want to say it was
it was Graveman.
Yeah. Yeah, that was probably his worst at bat as a major leaguer that I've seen. But again, he's giving you good at bats and he's coming up in big moments whenever he's in the position. So it's only good because the Cubs called up Nelson Velazquez. He's probably going to play tomorrow. He's been mashing over at AAA, and I don't know if he's going to be someone, just kind of like how I don't know if Morel is going to be someone, but we're going to find out. And people want to see young guys play. Well, you're going to see young guys play because it doesn't look like Morel is going to be sitting anytime soon, and I'm sure Velazquez will get into one of these games tomorrow. So
now that said, Wisdom had a pretty good game too. He got on base. Didn't he walk a couple times?
He walked
and
twice.
Had a base hit?
Yeah. I'm yelling about Wisdom striking out, but he did walk twice today. He did have a hit. He had his strikeouts have been down since the rant, but again, just in that 8th inning, man, it was tough to watch.
Phil, what did he say here? Rivas needs to play. I'd be happy with Frank DHing, but Rivas needs time at first. And somebody else was asking, why is Higgins even on the team? They don't have another catcher. Mm-hmm. With Gomes injured, they don't have another guy that can catch in the
Gomes
system.
Out,
they've had injuries at that position at the minor league level too. So that's
Gomes being out really. You're really missing the value without him.
Which also points another reason to why I say again, and we're not going to continue this discussion beyond this, but why you keep Contreras and you sign him. I mean, they don't grow on trees.
Right.
Catchers don't grow on trees. The Cubs are fortunate to have 2 guys that are very good catchers right now at the major league level. But you see what happens when one goes down. When one goes down, you're grasping to find that other guy. And that's nothing against Higgins, but he's 29 and still trying to break into the major leagues. So,
yeah.
Well, the trick is that the return should be pretty good.
Should be. You'd hope so. Again, my stance on trading Contreras is if you trade him, you better get some guys who can play right away within, if not the rest of this season, but next year. And if you can't do that, then I just think you keep him because it's not like you're going to find another catcher like him. Yan Gomes is nice, but is he every day? I don't think so. No. I think he's great in the role that he is, and that's playing every other day and getting a few spots in on the DH. And PJ Higgins, he's I think the role that he is in when Gomes is healthy is good. He can be your depth catcher, going in between AAA and playing with the Cubs whenever there's an injury. There's no way that someone like P.J. Higgins should be on a major league roster for an extended amount of time, in my opinion. Maybe he proves me wrong. He has to. He's going to need to hit more. That's for sure.
Yeah, he's not going to prove you wrong.
Yeah, and then his defense has to. Again, they called it a wild pitch from Robertson. I think that's a pass ball, in my opinion. But yeah, it's just, with Contreras, it's part of it is yes, he was part of 16 and he has a big place in my heart because of that. But also, like, you just really aren't going to find another better catcher. And
He's top 5 catcher in baseball.
Yeah, and
easily.
you're not going to get I just don't feel like the return in today's game is going to be like what people in the chat are going to expect. People in the chat, they should be what I'm saying, in my opinion. If they're going to trade Contreras, they should get pieces that are going to be able to play in 2023. And if they don't, then they're like, what are we doing? Are we going to? Right. Are we not competing until 2025? Like, that's not what Jed has said. And I've given up on this year, but there's no reason this team can't somehow be relevant in 2023 with what we've seen from Keegan Thompson, the potential from Caleb Killian. We'll eventually see Brennan Davis. And what we've seen from Morel just in these couple days, if you see that the rest of the year, you got some pieces there. Don't tell me that this roster doesn't have major league players. I read it in my mentions. I read it in the chat every single day when we do a show that this team doesn't have major league players. It's like, are you not watching the game? There's major league players on this team. We just got to figure out the best spots for them. And hell, either way, we're the Chicago Cubs. Shouldn't be rebuilding for 3 years until and competing in 2025. So that when it comes to Contreras, that's how my stance on it. And I understand people who disagree or think that we should just move them and they're content with rebuilding in 2025. And I mean, if you want to go through that, then fine. Like I have higher expectations for a team that is worth way too much damn money than it was in 2012. So,
by the way, Alec on the Facebook chat, YouTube, he says that 100% Higgins should have made that play in a 1-0 game. And I would agree that that ball needs to be stopped.
Oh, yeah. 100%.
Ball needs to be stopped. And I know we were actually watching the White Sox broadcast because we were sitting with the White Sox guys and the broadcasts were off a little bit. Mm-hmm. So the Sox game was a little bit faster. And Steve Stone was saying what a great game Higgins had. And I don't know. I don't know about that defensively, that it was that great.
Right.
Because that was a play that obviously I think to most people needed to be made. I don't know. I'd be interested what David Ross, maybe we'll get a chance if Ryan Herrera is able to join us here before the end of the podcast. I'd be curious if that was asked to David Ross, a former catcher, what he thought of that. And if he will give a totally honest answer to it. I'm just curious. I thought it was a stoppable ball. Maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah, I'm not trying to put down P.J. Higgins.
No.
We know what P.J. Higgins is for the most part. I mean, he hasn't had a ton of at-bats as an offensive player, but, there's a reason that, he's been, he was taken in the 12th round and, just kind of been in AAA for a while. He is a depth guy, a backup catcher type guy, and
he's their third catcher.
And I would think that I do feel like his defense has been better since he got the call up here whenever Gomes went down. But the defense was not great from him. So.
Right, and catching's a lot more than just what you see too. I mean, it's the communication with the pitcher. You see how many times he, a couple cross-ups and was on his knees trying to block balls. A lot of the times that's miscommunication between the catcher and the pitcher. Another feather in Contreras' cap. You don't see that a lot with him behind the dish.
Right.
So.
Yeah, it's hard. Again, it's hard for me to get up and yell about P.J. Higgins. I mean, I tweeted
I'm not blaming him for the game. I'm just saying if that play is made, maybe you have a slightly different.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, if he doesn't let that ball pass, I mean, maybe they get out of the inning. That ball pass allowed a run to score, tie it 1-1, and then they get out of the inning after that, and that's why if the Cubs get that insurance run in the 8th inning, then we're sitting here and we're talking. Hell, we would have already been done because postgame would have started an hour ago.
That's what I'm talking about. How did your bets do today? Did the bets do better than the Cubs?
Well, it did hit the over, and it had no run first inning, and I think that was about it. So, and I did bet the Cubs, and so that's another reason I'm pissed off because I bet the Cubs and they didn't win.
Sean bet the Cubs.
Sean bet the Cubs too. You wouldn't you listen to the Sox guys sitting on the couch over here. They were more pessimistic than I am sitting here yelling about the Cubs right now. They really thought the Cubs were going to win today. So,
if that's a good spin zone for everyone in the chat about today, at least know that Sox fans are, despite winning today, they don't feel great. But anyway, I made those bets on PointsBet, and the best way to support CHGO is to download the PointsBet app and use code CHGO when you sign up. If you make a $50 or more first-time deposit, you receive a free CHGO membership, which unlocks all of our web content. You even get a free shirt of your choice from the CHGO locker. If you have any questions, email pointsbet@allchgo.com and we'll help you. Remember that PointsBet is your home for live in-game betting. They even have a new exclusive feature, live NBA same-game parlay for the first time ever. Build the perfect live same-game parlay only with PointsBet. Combine your favorite bets anytime during the game. You can even boost your live same-game parlays. And now online sign-up is available in Illinois. You can actually download the PointsBet app right now and register your account from start to finish, all from your phone. Every show I say it. If Luke can do it, all of you in the chat can do it. It's really that easy. If Luke can open up his phone and figure out how to do it, it's really a beautiful thing. Signing up with the fastest sportsbook is now easier than ever, so you can start living your bet life in seconds. Use code CHGO to get 2 risk-free bets up to $2,000. So what are you waiting for? Once the game starts, don't just bet. Live your bet life with PointsBet. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-522-4700.
Want to start your day with a competitive edge? Strava CBD coffee is a game changer. It's helped thousands of people to improve their overall wellness and quality of life. Strava delivers delicious, fresh roasted specialty coffee infused with organic broad-spectrum CBD. And CBD from hemp doesn't make you high or hungry, but it does offer real benefits that can help you. Feeling alert and focused without the jitters. Live your day more balanced with less anxiety and fewer aches and pains. Plus, CBD in your daily routine can even help you enjoy a more restful sleep so you wake up feeling your best. And the best part, Strava is all about quality, small batch, all of it fresh and shipped straight to your door. Strava also offers concentrated full-spectrum CBD tinctures for those looking for a more traditional CBD format with a powerful entourage effect of benefits. CHGO listeners can save 25% off their entire purchase when you use the code CHGO25. That's 25% off your entire order at StravaCraftCoffee.com when you use the code CHGO25 at checkout. Discount coupon valid on non-subscription purchases only, 1 use per customer. And if you already love Strava, subscribe and save with the Strava Coffee Club. With Strava, you're in control. Save on your favorite coffees and have them automatically delivered right to your home or office on your preferred schedule. Strava Craft Coffee. Cubs lose 5-4 to the White Sox. They gave one away to the Southsiders. They had a chance to split the season series and sweep them at their home ballpark. Instead, they lose in extra innings, a game that they had a chance to put away 2-3 times.
3. Let's be real.
And to be perfectly honest, there was more bad news before the game. Something we touched on with Postgame yesterday. We got the news from Ryan Herrera that something was a little off with Wade Miley. He said maybe a little shoulder, something. We said, what? Sure enough, Wade Miley, 15-day IL, shoulder. Not good.
Not great, Bob. And Mark Leiter Jr. coming back. I think I said on postgame,
yes.
If Mark Leiter Jr. is coming up.
Chris Martin to the bereavement list. But really the move that is disappointing is Miley because he's barely been up with the major league team. He had no spring training. Then you had to wait for him to get going. And now he's right back with a shoulder injury. And this is a guy you want to ramp up and get ready for the trade deadline.
Yeah.
Period. Like we know that's what he's here for.
Right. Yeah, for that reason alone, that's the reason that's what really sucks about Miley being out. Hopefully it's just the 15 days. Either way, I mean, they might still be able to move him and get something decent for him if he's healthy in July because he had the games he has pitched they've been really well pitched. But yeah, you got to the best available or what is it that Herb says the best ability is availability?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, to me, if there's any spin zone to this is like now perhaps Keegan Thompson will be starting on the next 5th day of his.
Well, I hope so.
And it's not because it's not because of the whole argument of should he start or not. It's more of well, if you're not going to call up Caleb Killian like they could have, then I'd rather see Keegan Thompson start over Mark Leiter Jr. on the next 5th day. So that's just me. We'll see what happens.
Where did I see that? Nick G says, makes me think the Reds knew something was up. Well, he pretty much has been injured the whole time around.
Yeah.
But they were also just giving away players that they didn't want to pay.
Sent everyone packing. I mean, I feel bad for Joey Votto in a way. Even though
Jack says Steele pitching Tuesday, Hendricks pitching Wednesday. So we'll have to hear what Ryan Herrera has to say about it was all in the postgame. I haven't even heard who's pitching the doubleheader.
Right. Yeah, I don't know who's pitching the doubleheader.
But the other big news that seems to be circulating, and we'll see if Ryan confirms it, but it's been confirmed by a lot of sources now, is the Cubs' 15th ranked prospect, according to Baseball America, Nelson Velazquez, coming up, 23-year-old outfielder, 5th-round pick in 2017. The question is he just going to be an extra guy, the 27th man for doubleheaders, or will he get a little look? Is it going to be a short stint, and how much of them are we actually going to see here?
Yeah, no, I think it is official. Tommy Birch, the Des Moines Register's
that's good enough for me.
Iowa Cubs reporter, he said that he tweeted that he's like, and confirmed that, and Velazquez is getting the call for the major league team and will be available tomorrow. So, again, like we've been saying, exploring. He's been killing it.
Give him a shot.
Been killing it since the Arizona Fall League last year. I don't know his ranking as far as like MLB pipeline off the top of my head.
I think they said 16 maybe, but he had a big fall league. He's played 41 games at AA and AAA this season, and he has 12 homers.
Yeah.
So 12 homers in 41 games at, you can argue which one's really better, honestly, AAA and AA. A lot of times your best players are stashed at AA for a while.
Right.
So at 2 high levels of the minor leagues, he's got 12 homers in 41 games this year.
Yeah.
He's carried it over into this season.
Right. So, another Cubs homegrown player here. It goes back to everything we've said about Morel. If he can come up and just, show some flashes. I'm not going to have expectations that we're going to see what we've seen from Morel from him, but I've seen a lot of videos of him on my Twitter timeline of him just hitting balls out. This guy has power, and, the Cubs have a lot of outfield depth in terms of prospects, and they got to find out who's going to be with, I don't know, Ian Happ.
But they do have a little bit of time with Morel and Velazquez, like 22 and 23. I know that Velazquez is striking out a little too much, probably. But so that's something, if he has to go back down, he can work on. But there is power there. Again, so, if he comes up, let's say he comes up tomorrow and has a decent game, I'm in no rush to send him down.
Right.
If you can send Ortega down.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
Or just anyone else. Like, honestly.
But I feel it's more likely that he's up there just for the doubleheader.
Yeah.
I think
because
you're right.
he's on the 40-man. And
right.
Or potentially, maybe if Suzuki is actually hurt, it seems to be...
right, he could play right field if you need him to.
Yes.
We don't know what the deal is. Suzuki is his pinky finger, I believe, and he was out throwing before the game today. He did take, or was scheduled to take, some batting practice today, so we'll see if Ryan has an update on that. Again, hopefully Ryan Herrera at Guaranteed Rate will have a chance to join us here on the postgame show before we're done today.
I have Velazquez numbers up here. So,
okay.
In 22 games at AA this year, he was hitting 288, 394, 700. He was slugging 700. Hitting 9 homers while he was there in just the 22 games. In Iowa, it's been a little bit of a growing pain to this point. He had
3 homers there.
3 homers there. He's batting .214, on base at .291, and slugging .414. So the power is there, but the on base isn't as high as it was in AA, and obviously the batting average isn't where you'd like to see it.
WRC plus of 87 as an analytics guy since May 17th. That's below the league average.
That's when you got your certificate.
Yes, that's when I became
analytics.
That's when I became an analytics guy. Yeah,
it's like a driver's permit.
Exactly. And he's striking out 36% of his plate appearances. He's striking out 35% of his plate appearances in Double A in those 22 games as well, which is wild to think about considering his slash line. But in 137 games at Double A last year, he's striking out 25%. So maybe it's just too small of a sample size this year to as far as Double A numbers, but it continued at Triple A. So I would expect him. I don't want to say that he's going to come up here and light the world on fire. I think it'll be a little bit of a roller coaster for him. We might see some cool moments, and we might see some like holy shit moments of, okay, here's what we need to improve on. Let's go back to Iowa and figure it out, That's just me, based off what I'm looking at these numbers and not being able to watch minor league games, even though it's very cheap to do and I should do it considering the Cubs spot right now. But Morel had really good numbers in minor leagues, and he's came up and played well. Velazquez, I think we still need to see more. But again, he's coming in
just get a taste, get a taste of the major leagues. For Morel, it's been good. If he ends up going back at some point this season, it'll be an experience that he knows that he can play at that level, even though it might not be the whole rest of the season. Jack was asking on the chat, where did we get Velazquez? He was a 5th-round pick of the Cubs in 2017. So he's a guy selected by Theo and the guys.
Yep.
Jason McLeod, Jed Hoyer, that group selected him. And he's been, working his way up, and he's been one of the hot bats in the organization. So, and I know somebody else asked on the chat, so if we have all this outfield depth in the minor league system, what does that mean for Seiya? Seiya's still the right fielder.
Yeah, Seiya's going to be here.
And then I saw, well, what about Ian Happ? Well, for right now, Ian Happ is playing pretty good baseball in the outfield. He stacks up against a lot of outfielders in the major leagues right now. So you may have 2 corner guys right now. One of those guys might end up being something else. One of those guys might end up being utility. One of those guys might end up being your 4th outfielder. But right now, they're your corner outfielders. And you build around that. And hopefully young guys come up that can really push them. Maybe Frazier's a guy that's going to push them.
Well, hopefully
but we got to see him for that to be the case.
Hopefully they actually play him tomorrow, right? And even before the injury, the appendicitis, he wasn't getting a lot of at-bats. So hopefully we start to see it, or at least get some DH, at-bats in the DH, But, yeah, we're going to see what Velazquez has to offer here, at least for this doubleheader and maybe just this week. But, if we get anything close to Morel, then you're sitting here and you're like, wow, look at what we got. And these aren't even our top prospects. So, again, not getting too high, I'm not going to be too low on it. I like the scouting in this organization and how they're able to develop talent. We've seen it time and time again. So I'll just go into it optimistically, cautiously optimistic.
Yeah, Morel and Stroman are the 2 positives you can take from this game today.
Yeah, Morel and Stroman.
That's Simmons actually had a pretty nice game. There were a couple times during this game where I looked and was like, well, good thing they signed Andrelton Simmons.
At one point, Andrelton Simmons had the farthest hit baseballs.
If you're trying to win games. Now, again, he's not a guy that's going to be around when the team find the next great Cubs team. He's not going to be on there. Speaking of the next great Cubs, Ryan Herrera looks like he's about ready to join us. Is he getting close?
He's here.
Ready to
roll?
roll?
Hawaiian?
It's not a Hawaiian. It looks like a plaid. We got a Memorial Day plaid shirt today, Ryan. Can you hear us? He's not quite ready.
He can't hear
We'll
us.
get him back in here in a moment.
There he is.
Well, now he's
again.
back. Now he's back. I heard the little ring. Ryan Herrera.
Hello.
Oh, he's got us.
Is that a Hawaiian shirt or not?
Yes, it is. Sunday fun day.
Hawaiian.
Although it wasn't as fun by the end of it. we were in here far too long, like an hour and a half later.
That's what I said. Ryan, I wasn't even mad at the outcome. I was mad at the fact that we should have been out of here an hour and a half ago.
I was
dragged on.
We lost. I was mad, but also the same with Stuckey.
And it was a loss in ugly fashion. It wasn't like they lost on some great 2-run homer or something. They gave the game away like 3 different times.
Yeah.
I mean, I looked at the time and it was like 3:45 when the game was like when the ninth inning ended. It was like 3:45. I'm like, oh my god, this is so far under 3 hours. But yeah, I mean, he had 3 different chances to close out the game, and you don't do it. Like it's. I mean, the bullpen's been good and it's been the strength of the team, seeming like most consistently strong part of the team, I'd say, throughout the season. So when this happens. They're not going to be perfect. They're not going to close out every save. That's just not how baseball works. But at the same time, it's like you had 3 different chances and you couldn't get it done, especially when you were up 2 runs. And I think it was the 11th was when they went up 2. It's tough to see that, especially considering Cody. I know you tweeted about it a couple of times, but just the 8th inning, not getting that insurance run in, that hurts because you do that and you're all good to go.
Yeah, I hate it here.
Ryan, what did David Ross have to say about roster moves coming up here the next couple days, starting pitchers for tomorrow, all of that stuff? I mean, it seems like there's going to be kind of a flurry of players going back and forth here with a doubleheader now after you play an extra innings game where you used all these relievers today.
Yeah. And that's another one of the worst parts is, Stroman got he got you 7 innings. You weren't going to have to use much of your bullpen. You would have been Givens, and then it would have been Robertson, and then you get 3 more guys. It's 4 bullpen guys. I have a friend back here, just hanging out back there. Sorry. As far as roster moves go, I know Mark Leiter Jr. came. He's up now, but because taking Wade Miley's spot on the IL, and then you have to. Sorry, I'm getting distracted. So that's one of the roster moves. You have, say, we don't know for sure on say a Suzuki if he's going on the IL, if he's not. That could potentially be another spot that needs to be filled. Chris Martin on the bereavement list still hasn't been not a spot that's been filled yet. And then you got your 27th man for the doubleheader. So those are different things we have to look at. We didn't get any, roster moves or expectations for what's going to happen. I know I'd got to think now, especially after the bullpen use, they'd have to bring up a pitcher like a Connor Menez probably comes up tomorrow, maybe as just the 27th man, if anything. But yeah, we don't even know who's starting tomorrow. Before the game, we got Smiley and TBD with a TBD order. And that so far has not changed. So getting 7 innings from Marcus Stroman and only having to use 2 relievers would have been ideal for that team, for this team going into tomorrow and then just going into the rest of the week. The outcome of this game, going 12 innings, having to use, I think it was 4 bullpen arms. That doesn't help. That won't help them get through this week. So I expect at least 1 arm to come up. I know Ross was asked about Killian, if anything's changed. I think he got asked that yesterday pregame. Just if anything's changed with Killian and not making his debut. At that point, he said no, that nothing's changed. No, sir. So this would be a good opportunity to get Caleb Killian a major league start because he kind of need it. But just as far as we know, nothing's changed with that either.
Your face telling us all of this, and you just I'm not sure what's going on. That pretty much sums it up, man.
It's a lot, and again, that just the blown saves, having to use more bullpen arms, just really hurts because that's Gesellman. There's no way he pitches tomorrow. Efros, maybe we've seen Efros pitch on back-to-backs, but didn't he pitch yesterday too?
He pitched yesterday too.
Efros,
there's no way
Givens.
he pitches.
I don't know if they'll let Efros pitch 3 days in a row, and if they
they're
did, maybe it'd be the first game, and obviously he wouldn't be available for the second game. So that's what I think is what hurts is the fact that you be free to use whoever in the first game. I feel like depending on how the game goes, but that second game, it might be one of those that you just toss out and you just hope and pray that your starter can go give you decent length and whatever. But I don't know, man.
It's when you'd want Anthony Rizzo just to You want Anthony Rizzo to just take like 2 innings at the back of the
Yeah,
game.
yeah,
sure.
yeah.
Defend that 0 ERA career.
Stephen Nageshi has a $2 super chat. Thank you, Stephen.
Shout out to
Do you
Stephen.
still have confidence in Ross? I'll give the same answer I would have given you a month ago, and that is we don't have enough to judge him on. Like, there's his 2020 season was his first season, and it really didn't even count. Then 2021, half the team was basically the entire team was traded away at the deadline. So how do you judge him at that?
Yeah.
And now this season, he's got a roster of literally just mixing and matching every day to try and pick a lineup. And I guess we can judge him on some of those lineups, but again, some of those lineups are being judged on probably some messages from the front office saying we need this guy to play this many games, this guy to play. I would guess that he's had conversations with Jed and Carter about how much they need to see certain players in order to evaluate them.
Right.
So
This is how I view a manager. How often is David Ross the reason that the Cubs lose games?
not today.
Definitely not today. And I don't feel like it's a consistent thing that we're sitting here yelling about. Like, yeah, the Cubs blew the game today, but you had the guy that's been closing games for you out there. You used Rowan-Wick yesterday, so you had to use Robertson today. Givens was fine in the 8th inning, and Stroman gave you 7. Like, when I think about the manager and like if they help you win or not, like I look at how they manage a bullpen, and like that's like literally 75% of it for me is like how they manage a bullpen, because we can go back into Joe Madden's era and we can talk about how Steve Cishek's arm and ask ourselves, how is that thing still on him? Because the way Joe Madden managed a bullpen is it's a part of the reason, or part of the 1,000 factors to why the Cubs never won again, in my opinion. But David Ross, as far as like how he managed the bullpen, is significantly better. Yeah, his lineups can be a little frustrating at times, like the amount of times that we've seen Ortega batting leadoff at the beginning of the year. That's kind of gone away now. We see it every now and then, but it hasn't really been a thing. I think at the time he was doing it because honestly, like, who else did you feel really good about putting in the leadoff spot considering who they had on the roster? You know, it looks like they might have found one in Morel, so maybe we never see again. I don't know. We need to see more from him. But as far as lineups and stuff, you know, I never have anything too crazy to complain. I mean, with this roster,
They wouldn't be 500 with a different manager.
no,
I don't believe that.
They would probably be right around this. And another thing about the manager, I think David Ross gets the guys to come out and play hard every single day.
And you could say that some of the young guys that they're keeping an eye on are developing under David Ross. Like, that's another part of a manager is how does he use these young guys, continue to keep their confidence up. Like, we've seen Nico Horner now develop under David Ross. We've seen Ross develop. You know, it's not solely David Ross, but it's David Ross and his coaching staff and developmental team. You've seen Keegan Thompson. You've seen some of Steele. You've seen some guys, Morel. You've seen some guys come up, and it's what we talked about yesterday, Ryan. It's like, how did he decide to put Morel in a leadoff spot? Now, that's one decision that I wouldn't have thought of, and that obviously he did, and it's worked out pretty well so far. So that's a check mark in the David Ross box for me, and also for the Morel box, is that he's doing well. But give the manager credit. He put him in a spot that seems unordinary, and it's worked out.
I mean,
Yeah,
if you want to put it
things.
into perspective, I mean, the Sox guys are yelling about Tony La Russa every inning, and I don't think we're doing that with David Ross. So, I'm just saying.
What were you
Sorry to
saying,
cut you
Ryan?
off,
It's just-
Ryan.
Yeah, it's just all those things that you guys talked about. Morale on the leadoff spot. I mean, getting some success out of a 22-year-old rookie right away. And to answer that question, I don't think he's given you like us every reason to have complete confidence that he's a World Series manager and the one to lead them back to, you know, ring number 2 of this last few years, you know, whatever. I don't know that he's done that yet, but he's also like not given anyone reason to say like this guy's never going to win a World Series, right? Like Luke, you mentioned, he hasn't had a real opportunity to do that in his first couple seasons, and now, I mean, you see the way. I think one of the biggest things, and I think even just being a catcher helps. just the way he manages that bullpen. I think Cody was talking about it, but just you had Givens in the 8th. That's what you want. You had Robertson in the 9th. That's what you want. You go up a run. You go up again in the 10th, and you put in Scott Effross, who's been, probably your best reliever. That's what you want. Like that's like the way he's managed that bullpen just today in the last few days. I mean, it's how you want him to go about it. And all season he's done that. Has he made the kind of mistakes that managers make? Yes, but I don't think anything has been like. I look at it, I'm like, this guy, it's not going to work out. It's not going to work out with Grandpa Rossi. I haven't gotten that any reason to say that he can't win a World Series with this team. Just like, again, I'm kind of in the middle. I'm like, give him, like you said, Luke, give him more time. This is really his first season to kind of test a lot of things, which is how the last 2 seasons went. This is a development season where it's an exploring season, as Luke likes to say. So, explore David Ross as a manager too. Like give him the time to really become a manager. He's learning on the job. This is his first managing job. So, he's got a lot to learn, obviously, but also I think he's done some things really well, and that gives you that keeps you firm in the middle of like, okay, we can keep seeing what this guy does.
He needs more talent.
Yeah,
needs more talent around him.
And I also, whether you want to talk about the talent or not, I do feel like, he's been bold in spots that has worked out and bold in spots that it hasn't worked out, and that's just what comes with being a manager. I thought bringing in Gesellman wasn't the guy that I would have thought to bring in, but I understand also with the doubleheader tomorrow, you got to do what you got to do. And that's what he was thinking. He was thinking ahead, and, in the situation the Cubs are in, I think that's what you have to do. I think tomorrow will be a good time for, if you're like on borderline with David Ross, like check out how he manages the arms tomorrow. Hopefully the starters are able to give him 6 and that actually plays out well for him, but we'll see what happens. But I think David Ross, like if you're in or out on Ross, I feel like that should be like near the bottom of your list of concerns with this organization right now.
You've got to get him into a postseason or near a postseason before you can even start to evaluate him, in my opinion. Unless he started making just crazy decisions or had total unrest in the clubhouse or something, I don't think there's nothing to evaluate him on. So get more talent on the roster, and then start to see how he is as a manager. It's a little bit easier. Yeah. Ryan, any other news, nuggets, interesting comments from the clubhouse today?
I one of the things is like, we're talking about Stroman, and Stroman was excellent today. Like he, again, 7 innings, shutouts, like that's exactly what you needed from him. But he said he still doesn't feel like he's mechanics wise all the way there yet. Because it was 18 days off in between starts. Like that is a long time, especially dealing with COVID and a few days of not being able to even move, like even like work out. So he's like, I'm not, I don't feel like I'm, even there yet, body wise, mechanics wise, like he's still trying to get back to where he wants to be. And so I'm like, if 7 innings of shutout ball is still not where you want to be. Like he's obviously got big goals in mind. So that just, you like seeing that confidence and like seeing like, hey, like I'm still like, I might've thrown 7 shutout innings, still not at my best. So that's an interesting take from Marcus Stroman on his own day. Also, we talk about. I just wanted to mention Stroman's plays. Like the first one, there's like 103 mile per hour up the middle. Like that, just even stopping that was crazy. But then the bunt throwing over to third, like getting that lead runner, that the IQ is all kind of off the charts there. And also, I think we've seen like as Higgins is a kind of converted catcher, I want to say, right? Like PJ Higgins it's kind of like Contreras, like didn't come up completely as a catcher, if I'm not mistaken.
I'm not sure if he got drafted as a catcher or not, to be honest with you.
I think I saw that somewhere, but yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not completely positive, but it's that you got to block that ball. That ball just went under his glove. Yeah, well, and then like I'm not a major league catcher, but I was a catcher growing up, like through high school, and I know like one of the rules is like get that glove in the dirt and don't move it, and that ball bounced right underneath his glove. So it's tough. It's definitely a tough thing to do. It's not easy. That's why you see like there's players that have trouble, being good block. That's why good blocking is one of those things that when you look at a defensive catcher, like how well can they block the ball and they keep the ball in front of them? It's hard to do. But just in that situation, man, just to see that, especially considering the ground ball, the next at bat, or that at bat or whatever it was, it's like the ground ball could have been end of the game with a double play. So that's just one you look back and it's like that has to happen. That has to get blocked. That can't get past you. That's all I gotta say.
Yeah, no. I sat here and yelled about it for a good 3 minutes. So I'm glad we agree. We finally agree on something, Ryan. And you're being down the middle, and I'm sitting here being a fan. So.
Who won? Finally, before we let you go, who you got? Cody. I guess Morel had the catch in center.
He had the hit that gave him the 3-1 lead.
He gave him the 3-1 lead, which should have been enough.
Yep.
So I would vote probably Cody won, which makes it 5 to 3 to 2.
Yes.
And I'm in dead last.
You are.
I went from first place to last place real quick.
But you did win the crosstown draft.
But I won the crosstown draft, which counts for everything.
Convincingly.
As much as
I got
everyone
second
was
place
mad
in
at
that.
us,
So I got second place in that one. So
You got second place?
I got second place. I didn't get last. I got last place last time, I think. So I'm fine with second place this time.
All right, sounds good. What should we look for coming up at allchgo.com, your article or work? What should we be eyeing out for there?
Yeah, so I actually have a article that came out this morning. We talked to Jed Hoyer yesterday, and so just if you haven't checked that one out, we got a lot of stuff to talk about Jed Hoyer and quote unquote rebuild. And then got my Monday morning thoughts coming out tomorrow. I'm gonna have a lot of stuff packed in just from this weekend, but also Cubs adjacent. If you think of Jock Peterson or some comments by Tony La Russa that came out yesterday. Just check that out. Look up, check allchgo.com tomorrow morning if you want to read my thoughts on this crazy weekend and week that's passed. But just got a few things in the works here.
It's good. We'll see you later this week. Have a good Memorial Day.
Thanks. I'll be at Game 2 tomorrow night, left field bleachers. If you're out at the game tomorrow, send me a DM. Let's get a beer and yell about how this team stinks.
You can vibe with Cody. All right, thanks, Ryan. We'll see you later. If you enjoy CHGO, one way to help us continue to grow is downloading the PointsBet app and using the code CHGO when you sign up. You get those 2 risk-free bets up to $2,000, and if you make the 50 or more first-time deposit, you get a free CHGO membership. That opens up all of Ryan's content for you and a free shirt from the CHGO locker. Any questions, email pointsbet@allchgo.com, and we will help you out. And in case you missed it, online signups going on right here in Illinois. Get that right away. You'll sign up with the fastest sportsbook. It's easier than ever. Start living your bet life in seconds. What are you waiting for? Once the game starts, don't just bet. Live your bet life with PointsBet. Gambling problem, call 1-800-522-4700. So we don't necessarily have the pitching matchups for the Brewers series, but you have 9 games in 7 days against divisional opponents. And, really, I know people we like to talk about Cubs Sox. Division games are the ones that matter.
Yeah.
Now, they all kind of matter the same this year because I don't know that we're getting back to 500, but you still want to play well in your division.
Yeah, spin zone, tomorrow I'll be in left field, like I said, and I'm going to tell Christian Yelich exactly how I feel about him. There's a reason for that, and that's because the Brewers are in the division, and, I don't care that they're in first place. They still have 0 championships, and, their fans still let us live rent-free or utilities-free, arguably, in their heads because even when they don't play the Cubs, they still talk about us. So, we spin it around tomorrow and hopefully split the doubleheader at least.
Good little nugget here, too. Ethan Small, the Brewers' top pitching prospect, he's going to pitch tomorrow. So I think he's getting game 1. So he had a 1.88 ERA in AAA this year. So he's
hopefully you get the version of Aaron Ashby. Remember Aaron Ashby?
Ashby's game 2.
He's getting game 2.
Okay. Well,
Ashby's
Aaron
game 2.
I believe Aaron Ashby's like his major league debut was the game that the Cubs scored 7 runs and then Jake Arrieta gave it all away last year. I want to say that was it. It was one of the most painful games I've watched in the last 3 years, but maybe we'll get that, a form of that, except we won't blow a 7-0 lead.
Who is Mooney reporting? Game 1 will start. Smiley
Mooney
will
is
start game
reporting
2.
Swarmer
Schwarmer game 1. Smiley game 2.
So they must be calling up Matt Schwarmer. I think that's his. Yeah,
So
Matt Schwarmer.
like I said, a few more roster moves still to be made. We'll get the official announcement on the 27th player, which we expect to be Velazquez. And we'll see how it goes. Try and beat the Brewers.
Hey,
Finish off the holiday weekend on a high note. Beat the Brewers.
this team is 2-0 against Corbin Burns this year. There's no reason they can't go out and win tomorrow.
Sounds good to me. Thanks.
I hate myself.
Thanks for dropping in to check out the CHGO Cubs postgame show podcast. White Sox win 5-4. That's the last time we'll see the Sox this season, unless, of course, they meet in the World Series. Thanks for watching and listening, and fly the W.